The sound of keys being placed on wood. Not dropped, not tossed, but set down with intention, with care, the way someone might place a sleeping child into a crib. The metallic whisper echoes for just a moment in the quiet house, and then it fades, absorbed by the softness of the evening air. The keys rest now on the small table by the door, catching the last amber light filtering through the window, reflecting tiny points of warmth back into the room. This is the sound of arrival, not just to a place, but to a moment that has been waiting patiently for its turn to exist. The house breathes around this arrival with its own particular rhythm. There is the faint sweetness of dinner still lingering in the air, something simple that was shared earlier, the ghost of warm bread and vegetables that speaks of nourishment and care. The light in the living room comes from a single lamp in the corner, an old thing with a fabric shade that turns the light golden and soft, casting no harsh shadows, only gentle suggestions of shape and form. The room itself seems to know what this evening holds, seems to have prepared itself with a quietness that feels almost sacred. A worn rug stretches across the wooden floor, its pattern faded from years of footsteps, each thread holding memories of mornings rushed and evenings returned to, and now those fibers offer their familiar comfort to bare feet that have finally come home. Every object in this space tells a story without speaking. A houseplant sits on the windowsill, its leaves turned toward where the sun was hours ago, healthy and green, tended to with the kind of consistency that only comes when someone has learned to care for living things even when tired, especially when tired. The curtains are simple cotton, no elaborate patterns, just a soft cream color that moves gently with the evening breeze that slips through the slightly open window. That breeze carries with it the cool promise of night, the scent of grass and distant trees, the particular smell of a neighborhood settling into its own rest. And beneath it all, so quiet you might not notice it at first, there is the steady tick of a clock somewhere deeper in the house, marking time with patient reliability, reminding the world that moments are passing, and that is exactly as it should be. This is a house that has known struggle, though you would not see scars upon its walls. Instead, you see the opposite. Small signs of renewal, of care applied with deliberate love. A framed drawing made by young hands hangs at child height, displayed as proudly as any gallery masterpiece. A stack of library books waits on the coffee table, their covers promising adventure and knowledge to whoever opens them next. A folded blanket drapes over the arm of the couch, positioned perfectly for someone who might need its warmth. These are not the trappings of wealth, but they are the treasures of a home that has been built deliberately, piece by piece, choice by choice, from foundation stones of determination and hope. The evening light continues to fade outside, that blue hour arriving where day has not quite released its hold, but night is already spreading its quiet invitation across the sky. Through the window, the street is peaceful, a few houses visible with their own warm lights beginning to glow from within. A tree stands sentinel in the small front yard, its branches swaying in that same gentle breeze, leaves rustling with a sound like distant water, like whispered conversations, like lullabies sung too softly to make out the words. Everything is exactly as it should be. Everything has led to this moment. And in the center of it all, in this house filled with quiet triumph and hard-won peace, someone has just come home. Let us walk together through this evening, through these rooms and these feelings, through this journey from weariness into rest. There is no urgency here, no rush, only the gentle unfolding of a night that has been earned through countless mornings risen to, through challenges met and overcome, through the simple, persistent courage of continuing forward when the path was unclear. Tonight we witness not just rest, but the arrival of something that has been traveling toward this moment for a very long time. The peace that comes when you realize you are finally truly safe. Find a comfortable place, dear listener. Let your body settle wherever you are. Close your eyes if you wish, or let your gaze soften on some peaceful point before you. The story we are entering is one of profound quiet, of well-deserved rest, of the kind of deep sleep that restores everything that has been worn thin. If you would like to return to this place, to find your way back to our collection of peaceful stories, a gentle tap on the subscribe button will ensure that another story is always waiting for you when you need it most. And now, let us turn our attention fully to this house, to this evening, to this moment of stillness long awaited. The living room waits in its pool of lamplight. The woman who has just arrived home stands still for a moment, her hand still resting on the table where she placed her keys. She is not frozen, not paused in uncertainty, but simply present in a way that perhaps she has not been able to be for some time. Her shoulders, which carried tension like a permanent resident, have begun the slow process of lowering, of releasing, of remembering that they do not always need to be braced against the next difficulty. Her breathing, which she now notices, is deeper than it has been in recent memory. The air fills her lungs completely, easily, and when she exhales, something more than just air seems to leave her body. Worry, perhaps, or that particular vigilance that comes from never being quite certain that everything will be all right. She does not think about this consciously yet. For now, she simply experiences the feeling of being home, truly home, in a way that goes beyond just being within the walls of her house. This is the home that she built, yes, but it is also the home she has finally grown into, the life that her efforts have shaped into something stable and good. There is a difference between surviving and living, and she is beginning to understand in her body before her mind has caught up that she has crossed some invisible threshold between those two states. The exhaustion is still there, the kind that comes from a full day of meaningful work, but it is a clean exhaustion, not the toxic fatigue of uncertainty and stress. She moves now, her steps quiet on the floor, heading down the hallway toward the bedrooms where her children sleep. This is her favorite journey of each day. These few steps, taken in near darkness, where she gets to witness the peaceful faces of the people she loves most in all the world. Her children, the center of everything she has worked for. The reason she kept going when stopping seemed so much easier, and tonight, as she walks this familiar path, she feels something new accompanying her, the knowledge that she has succeeded in giving them something precious. Not just a home, though that matters, not just stability, though that matters too, but the gift of a mother who is no longer fraying at the edges, who has found her way to solid ground, who can be present with them because she is no longer drowning in worry about tomorrow. The first door is slightly ajar, and she pushes it open with care. The hinge is silent because she oiled them last month, one of 100 small tasks she has learned to tend to before they become problems. The room is awash in the soft glow of a nightlight, one shaped like a crescent moon that casts gentle silver shadows across the walls. Her youngest sleeps, curled beneath a quilt patterned with stars and planets, one small hand visible on the pillow, fingers relaxed in the complete abandon that only children can achieve in sleep. The child's breathing is deep and even, a sound more precious than any music, more reassuring than any words. She stands in the doorway for a long moment, just watching, just being grateful, just loving this small person who trusts her so completely. She thinks, though not in words exactly, more in feelings and images, about the journey that brought them here. There were nights when she stood in doorways like this and felt the weight of fear so heavy she thought it might crush her. Nights when she did not know how she would manage the next day, let alone the next month or year. Nights when her children slept just like this, peaceful and trusting, while she stayed awake trying to solve problems that seemed to have no solutions. But she never let them see that fear. She saved her tears for after they were asleep, and she woke each morning with determination renewed, even when her resources felt completely depleted. She did what needed to be done, over and over, until slowly, so slowly she almost did not notice it happening, things began to shift. She adjusts the quilt slightly, pulling it up just a bit higher, a gesture of care that requires no thought. Her hand lingers for a moment on the soft fabric, and she feels a rush of tenderness so powerful it brings tears to her eyes, though these are not tears of sadness. These are the tears that come when you realize you have survived something you were not certain you could survive, when you understand that your best efforts were actually enough, that your love, despite all your doubts, was sufficient to carry everyone through. She blinks them back, smiling in the darkness, and leans down to press the softest kiss imaginable to her child's forehead, a touch light as a butterfly landing, barely contact at all, just her love made momentarily physical. The second bedroom is just across the hall. Here her older child sleeps, sprawled across the bed in that way that older children do, having kicked off most of the covers, face peaceful in dreams. On the bedside table there is a book left open, pages down, marking a place to return to tomorrow. There are drawings taped to the walls, colorful explosions of creativity and imagination. There is a shelf with treasures, rocks that seemed special when found, a snow globe from a museum visit, a small trophy from a school achievement. These are the artifacts of childhood, the objects that seem meaningless to others but hold entire worlds of significance for the one who collected them. She sees all of this and feels her heart swell with pride and love, intertwined so completely she cannot separate them. This child has handled the difficult times with such resilience, such grace. Children are more perceptive than adults often give them credit for, and she knows that both her children understood in their own ways that life was challenging. But they also knew, because she made certain they knew that they were loved, that they were safe, that she would protect them no matter what it cost her. And now they are moving into a new chapter together, one where there is more breathing room, more possibility, more of everything good. She stands in this doorway too, her hand resting on the doorframe, and she makes a silent promise to these sleeping children that she will never take for granted what has been achieved, that she will continue to work to give them the life they deserve, but that she will also allow herself to rest now, to accept that she has earned the peace that is settling over her, like the dusk settled over the world outside. She pulls both doors to just the position they need to be, not fully closed because both children prefer to know she is just down the hall, but not wide open either, giving them the privacy of their own small kingdoms. Then she turns and walks back down the hallway, her bare feet silent on the floor, back toward the living room and the quiet evening that waits for her there. She is not going to clean the kitchen tonight, though it needs it. She is not going to prepare things for tomorrow, though she usually does. Tonight, she is going to do something she has not allowed herself to do in longer than she can remember. Tonight, she is simply going to sit and breathe and let herself feel what she has accomplished. Tonight, she is going to rest. The living room welcomes her back like an old friend. She moves to the armchair positioned near the window, the one that has become her favorite spot in all the house. It is not new, this chair. She found it at a second-hand store months ago, its fabric slightly worn but still sturdy, its cushions still offering real comfort. She bought it because it was affordable, but also because something about it called to her, as if it had been waiting for someone who would appreciate it, who would understand the value of simple comfort. Now, as she lowers herself into it, feeling her body sink into the familiar contours, she thinks perhaps she was right about that. This chair has held her through difficult evenings, through moments of worry and planning, and now it holds her through this moment of triumph, and its embrace feels exactly the same. Steady, reliable, offering no judgment, only support. The window beside her chair offers a view of the street outside, though the light is nearly gone now. Dusk has deepened into early evening, that time when the sky still holds the faintest memory of blue, but darkness is clearly winning its gentle victory. The streetlights have come on, casting pools of amber light along the sidewalk. A car passes slowly, its headlights sweeping across the window, and then the street returns to its quietness. She can see the tree in the front yard, its silhouette now dark against the deepening sky, its leaves still moving in that persistent breeze, rustling with a sound that reaches her even through the glass, a whisper of nature continuing its eternal conversations. The light from her lamp creates its own small world inside the room. Outside may be growing dark, but in here there is this golden glow, this pocket of warmth and safety. The light reflects off the surfaces around her, the glass of the picture frame on the side table, the polished wood of the bookshelf, the glossy leaves of the houseplant. These reflections are gentle, nothing harsh or glaring, just soft glimmers that suggest depth and dimension, that make the room feel alive in a quiet way. She notices, and this noticing is itself a kind of meditation, how the light falls across her hands resting on the arms of the chair, how it illuminates the texture of her skin, the small lines and marks that tell the story of her life, of work done and care given. She becomes aware of the temperature of the air against her face. It is perfect, requiring neither blanket nor fan, just the neutral comfort of a room at peace with itself. The air carries scents she has grown so familiar with. She usually does not notice them consciously. The smell of the house itself, that particular combination of wood and fabric and life lived, mixed with the lingering sweetness of dinner, and underneath it all, the fresh coolness from the open window, bringing in the smell of evening, of grass and earth, and the night beginning its work of restoration. She breathes these scents in slowly, deliberately, as if she is tasting them, as if she can draw sustenance from air itself. And beneath all of this, so constant, she usually tunes it out completely. There is the sound of the house existing. The refrigerator in the kitchen hums its steady note. The clock continues its patient ticking. The house settles with the occasional small creak of wood, adjusting to the temperature change as evening cools everything slowly. These are the sounds of shelter, of structure, of a place that contains and protects. They are sounds she has heard every evening for months now since they moved in, but tonight they sound different somehow. Tonight they sound like a symphony of security, like proof that she has succeeded in creating exactly what she set out to create: a home. Not a place they are merely staying, not a temporary shelter, but an actual home where they belong and are safe. She lets her eyes close for a moment, not because she is sleepy yet, but because she wants to feel this more fully. With her eyes closed, her other senses sharpen. The sounds become more distinct. The feeling of the chair beneath her becomes more pronounced. The taste of the air, clean and slightly sweet, becomes more noticeable. And in this darkness behind her eyelids, she can feel something beginning to happen, something that has been waiting a very long time for permission to occur. She can feel herself beginning finally to let go, to release the grip, to trust that everything is truly going to be all right. Not someday, not eventually, but right now. It already is all right. That realization, that recognition, spreads through her like warmth, like light, like the first sip of something soothing on a cold day. The memories come gently, not as an assault or a flood, but as soft visitors invited into a peaceful space. She does not try to push them away, but neither does she cling to them. They arise. They exist for a moment in her awareness, and then they fade back into the past where they belong. She thinks about the beginning of this journey, though the beginning is hard to pinpoint exactly. Was it the day she decided things needed to change, or was it earlier, in one of those countless moments when she was struggling just to get through the day, when something inside her quietly refused to give up, even when giving up would have been so much easier? She remembers, though the memory is soft now, its edges worn smooth. The mornings when waking up felt like the hardest thing she would do all day. When the alarm was not a call to begin, but a demand she was not certain she could meet. But she met it anyway. Every single time, she met it. She got up, she got her children ready, she went to work at jobs that were just jobs, not careers, not paths to anywhere, just ways to keep food on the table and a roof over their heads. She smiled when she needed to smile. She was professional when she needed to be professional. She saved every penny she could, though there were never enough pennies, never quite enough to feel secure. But she saved them anyway, putting them away like someone might save seeds, trusting that someday, somehow, they would grow into something. And in between the work and the exhaustion, in those stolen moments and late nights after the children were asleep, she taught herself new skills. She took free online courses, squinting at her old laptop screen, absorbing information about computer programs and business processes and everything she thought might help her qualify for something better. She practiced. She failed at things and tried again. She applied for positions she thought were beyond her reach, telling herself that rejection was just information, just feedback, just another step on a path whose destination she could not yet see but believed existed somewhere ahead. Each application was an act of faith. Each interview, when she managed to get one, was a performance of confidence she did not always feel, but could simulate well enough to be convincing. The metaphors that come to her mind now are all from nature, from the world that continues outside her window in its eternal cycles. She thinks of roots growing deeper during drought, how trees respond to harsh conditions by strengthening their foundation, pushing down into the earth to find water and stability. She thinks of seeds that require cold winter before they can germinate, how some forms of growth demand difficulty as their prerequisite. She thinks of how a river, blocked by a fallen tree or a pile of stones, simply finds another way around, patient and persistent, never angry at the obstacle, just eternally committed to reaching the sea. These comparisons feel true to her experience, more true than any dramatic narrative of struggle and triumph. What she did was not heroic in the traditional sense. It was simply the steady accumulation of small right choices, made over and over, until they added up to transformation. The new job, when it finally came, felt almost anticlimactic at first. Just an email, an offer, a start date. But as the reality of it settled in, as she began to understand what it meant, the significance grew and grew. It was not just better pay, though that mattered enormously and would change everything in practical ways. It was not just better hours, though that too was precious beyond measure. It was the recognition implicit in the offer that she was capable, that her efforts to improve herself had worked, that she belonged in this new role, that her value was acknowledged. The first day at the new job, she remembers, she sat at her new desk in near disbelief, touching the surface of it, the clean lines and the newness, thinking about how far she had come from those mornings when just getting out of bed felt impossible. The weeks since then have been an adjustment, learning the new role, building relationships with colleagues, proving herself in this new context. But it has been good difficulty, the kind that stretches you without breaking you, the kind that makes you grow, and more importantly, it has been balanced with something she had not experienced in years: breathing room. Financial breathing room, yes, but also temporal breathing room, emotional breathing room. Space to think about things beyond mere survival. Space to plan, to imagine, to consider possibilities. Space to be present with her children, not just as a caretaker in constant motion, but as a person who can sit with them, listen to them, play with them without part of her mind always calculating and worrying and planning how to make it all work. She thinks about her children and how they have responded to this change. They do not fully understand the details, of course, and she has been careful not to burden them with adult concerns. But children sense things. They know when the adults around them are stressed and scared. And they also know when that stress lifts, when the air pressure in the household changes, when smiles become more frequent and genuine. She has seen them relax in ways she did not even realize they had been tense. She has seen them grow more confident, more playful, more willing to take small risks and try new things, as if her own arrival at steadier ground has given them permission to build their own lives with more freedom and creativity. Tonight, all of these thoughts and memories move through her like a slow, gentle current. Nothing hurts, nothing catches or snags. Even the difficult memories, when they surface, are touched with a kind of golden light now, the light of having survived them, having learned from them, having become stronger because of them. She does not regret the hard times, not exactly, because she can see now how they shaped her, how they revealed capacities she did not know she possessed. But she is also deeply, profoundly grateful that they are past, that she is here now, in this chair, in this house, in this life that she built with determination and hope and stubborn refusal to give up, even when the path forward was completely unclear. The night outside has deepened further. The sky is fully dark now, though not the absolute blackness of rural night. This is suburban evening, where the sky holds a faint ambient glow from all the human lights below, a reminder that they are not alone in the world, that all around them other people are also settling into their evenings, into their own stories and struggles and moments of peace. She can see a few stars, the brightest ones that can punch through the light pollution, and they seem to her like encouragement, like distant friends winking, like proof that even in a world full of noise and complexity and difficulty, there is still beauty, still wonder, still reason to look up and feel awe. It comes to her not as a thought, but as a physical sensation, a realization that arrives in her body before her mind has language for it. She notices, with a clarity that feels almost strange, that her stomach is relaxed, completely, totally relaxed. There is no knot there, no tightness, no clenching. For years, for so many years that she had stopped noticing it consciously, there had been a constant tension in her abdomen, a readiness for the next crisis, a bracing against the next problem. It had become so familiar, she thought it was just how bodies felt, just a normal part of existence. But now, tonight, it is gone. Her stomach is soft, easeful, at peace. The discovery ripples outward from this initial noticing. Her shoulders are down, truly down, not held in that elevated position of perpetual stress. Her jaw is loose, teeth not clenched, the muscles of her face soft and without agenda. Her hands, resting on the arms of the chair, are open, palms up slightly, fingers gently curved, not gripping anything, not holding on for dear life. Her breathing is deep and slow and reaching all the way to the bottom of her lungs, then releasing fully, a rhythm so natural and easy she is barely aware of directing it. Her whole body, she realizes with something like wonder, is at rest. Real rest. Not the collapsed exhaustion of someone who has run until they had to stop, but the easeful rest of someone who has arrived and can therefore release the journey. This is what safety feels like, she thinks. This is what it means to not be afraid. Not the absence of all fear, because she is a mother, and some small part of her will always carry a vigilant love that watches over her children, but the absence of that particular existential dread that had been her constant companion for so long, the dread of not having enough, the dread of failing to protect the people she loves, the dread of working as hard as she could and still not being able to make it all work. That specific fear, that heavy presence, is gone, and in its absence, there is this lightness, this freedom, this feeling of spaciousness inside her own body. She remembers reading once, in one of those moments of stolen time late at night when she was researching and studying and trying to improve herself, about how chronic stress rewires the nervous system, how the body, subjected to constant difficulty, learns to stay in a state of high alert. Muscles tensed, hormones flooding, ready for fight or flight at any moment. And how that state, sustained over months or years, becomes the new normal, becomes so familiar that peace itself can feel strange and uncomfortable when it finally arrives. She wonders if that is why this moment feels almost surreal, almost too good to be true. Her body is having to remember how to be at ease, having to relearn that not every moment requires vigilance, that sometimes, often, hopefully more and more, it is safe to simply be. The metaphor that comes to her is of a garden, a small garden in a quiet corner somewhere where wildflowers have just bloomed after a long winter. She did not plant them deliberately. She did not even know the seeds were there, hidden in the soil, waiting for conditions to be right. But now they have emerged, delicate and colorful and utterly themselves, and she can only marvel at them, at the resilience and patience and quiet determination it took for them to survive the cold and the darkness. And then, when the time came to grow toward the light, she feels like that garden. She feels like something that has been waiting to bloom and is finally able to do so. She does not want to cry, and she does not want to laugh, and she does not want to do anything but sit here and feel this feeling, to let it saturate every cell of her body, to memorize it so thoroughly that she will never forget it. This is the feeling she worked for. This is what all of those difficult mornings and long days and sleepless nights were building toward, though she did not know it at the time, could not have articulated it if asked. She thought she was working for financial stability, for professional success, for a better life for her children. And yes, she was working for all of those things. But underneath all of that, what she was really working for was this: the ability to sit in her own living room in the evening and feel at peace, to know in her bones and blood and breath that she is going to be all right, that they are all going to be all right. Not because life will never be difficult again, because of course it will, but because she has proven to herself that she can handle difficulty. She can meet it, work through it, and emerge on the other side. And that knowledge, that deep cellular knowledge, is the greatest gift she has ever given herself. The thought of bed arrives gently, not as a demand from an exhausted body, but as an invitation from a body that has remembered comfort is possible. She does not leap up from the chair. She sits a moment longer, letting the intention form fully before acting on it. When she does rise, it is with a smooth movement, her body responding easily, without the usual protest of joints and muscles that have been pushed too hard for too long. She stands in the center of the living room for a moment, taking one last look around this space that has held her evening, this room that has witnessed her realization and her peace. Then she reaches over and turns off the lamp, plunging the room into the softer darkness of nighttime, lit only by the ambient light from the street outside. The hallway is dim, and she does not turn on a light. She knows this path by heart, has walked it hundreds of times in darkness, checking on her children, fetching water, navigating the familiar territory of home. Her feet know where to step, her hands know where the walls are if she needs them. She moves slowly, not because she must, but because she wants to, because there is something meditative about this quiet walking through darkness, about trusting her body to know the way. She passes her children's rooms, pausing outside each door to listen for a moment to their breathing, to send them a silent blessing of love and protection, to feel grateful once more for their existence. Her own room is at the end of the hall. The door is open, and she steps through into a space that is completely hers. It is simple, this room. A bed, a dresser, a small table with a lamp. Nothing fancy or elaborate, but everything she needs. The window here shows more of the sky, and she can see the moon now nearly full, casting silver light across everything, painting the room in shades of grey and white and shadow. She stands at the window for a moment, looking out at the moon, at the familiar stranger that has witnessed every night of her life, every night of every human life, constant and cycling and utterly reliable in its changes. She moves through her evening routine with a slowness that borders on ritual. She changes out of her work clothes, folding them neatly and setting them aside. She puts on her pajamas, feeling the soft, worn cotton against her skin, Fabric that has been washed so many times, it has achieved perfect softness. She goes to the small bathroom and washes her face with warm water, patting it dry gently, looking at herself in the mirror for just a moment. The face that looks back at her is her own, familiar and strange at once, marked by time and experience, but still recognizably herself. She sees tiredness there, yes, but not the desperate exhaustion that has marked her features for so long. She sees something else now, something that might be peace, might be contentment, might be the very beginning of joy. Back in her room, she approaches the bed as if it is something sacred. She pulls back the covers, revealing the clean sheets beneath, and the simple act of preparing to lie down feels like a luxury beyond measure. How many nights did she fall into bed too exhausted to even remove the covers properly, just collapsing on top of them, stealing whatever rest she could before the alarm demanded she rise again. But tonight, there is time, there is space, there is the possibility of real rest. She slides between the sheets and feels their coolness against her skin, feels the mattress beneath her receiving her weight, supporting her completely. She arranges the pillows just so, one under her head and one beside her, that she can hold if she wants to. That provides a feeling of security and comfort. She pulls the blanket up to her shoulders, feeling its weight settling over her, a gentle pressure that reminds her body it is time to rest, to let go, to surrender, to sleep. She shifts slightly, finding that perfect position that everybody knows, where everything aligns just right, where no part of her is uncomfortable or needs adjustment. And then, settled and still, she takes a deep breath, lets it out slowly, and feels her body sink even deeper into the mattress, feels herself beginning the descent into sleep, that strange and necessary journey that humans make every night, leaving consciousness behind to travel in the mysterious country of dreams and restoration. The darkness behind her closed eyelids is not empty but full, textured with subtle patterns of light and shadow that shift and move like living things. She does not try to see anything specific, does not try to direct or control these inner visions. She simply observes them with distant curiosity, watching as her mind begins to release its grip on the day, as thoughts slow and spread out, becoming less defined, less urgent, less connected to the concrete world of problems and tasks and responsibilities. Her breathing has found its rhythm now, that deep, slow pattern that the body knows how to do when given permission, when freed from the constant demands of doing and achieving and managing. Each inhalation draws in not just air but peace itself, as if the atmosphere of her room has become infused with calm, and her lungs are extracting it, distributing it through her bloodstream to every distant corner of her body. Each exhalation releases more than just carbon dioxide. It releases tension she did not even know she was holding, releases old fears and worries and what-ifs, releases them into the darkness where they dissipate and disappear, no longer needed, no longer relevant to this moment. She becomes aware of her heart beating in her chest, that faithful muscle that has been keeping time since before she was born, that has beat through every moment of her life, through joy and sorrow, through fear and triumph, through all of it, never stopping, never taking a break, always working to keep her alive. Tonight its rhythm is slow and strong and steady, a drumbeat of life that requires no conscious attention, that simply is as reliable as the moon outside her window, as constant as the turning of the earth. She feels profound gratitude for this heart, for this body that has carried her through everything, that has borne up under strain and exhaustion, and still brought her here, to this moment, still functioning, still strong, still capable of healing and rest. The sensation of the bed beneath her has become almost indistinguishable from floating. Her body has relaxed so completely that the boundaries between herself and the mattress seem to blur. She is supported, held, cradled by something larger than herself. The mattress holds her body, the room holds the mattress, the house holds the room, the earth holds the house. She is nested in layers of support and safety, protected and secure, able to let go of vigilance because the world, for now, for tonight, is taking care of her instead of demanding that she take care of it. Her mind drifts to her children sleeping in their rooms, and the thought of them is not accompanied by worry or fear, but simply by love, pure and uncomplicated. They are safe. They are sleeping the deep sleep of childhood, their bodies growing and their minds processing the day, in whatever mysterious ways that minds process things during sleep. Tomorrow they will wake refreshed, and she will be there for them, present and rested herself, able to meet them with energy and patience and joy. But tomorrow is not now. Now is this moment of suspension, this hanging space between day and night, between waking and sleeping, between effort and rest. The descent is happening now, that gradual sinking into unconsciousness that cannot be forced or rushed, but only allowed. She feels herself going deeper, as if she is slowly submerging into warm water, as if the surface of consciousness is receding above her, and she is diving down into depths that are not frightening but welcoming, not dark, but softly luminous with their own internal light. Her thoughts have stopped being coherent, have become fragments and images and sensations that arise and fall away without meaning or consequence. A face, a color, a sound, a feeling. Nothing holds together long enough to form a story. Everything is dissolving into the formless pre-dream state, into that liminal space where the laws of waking reality no longer apply, and anything is possible because nothing is fixed. This is the most profound rest she has experienced in years, perhaps in her entire adult life. This is sleep that will actually restore, that will reach down into the cellular level and repair and renew, that will process and integrate and make sense of things in that way that only sleep can do. This is not the fitful half-sleep of someone who lies awake worrying, not the shallow rest of someone whose body cannot fully relax. This is the deep sleep of someone who has finally been able to release their grip on control, who trusts that the morning will come and they will be ready for it, who knows in their bones that they are safe and their children are safe, and all is, for this moment, well with the world. Her last semi-conscious thought, if it can be called a thought at all, is a feeling of gratitude so immense it has no words, only the sensation of it filling her entire being. Gratitude for this bed, this room, this house. Gratitude for her children and their health and their love. Gratitude for the job that changed everything, for the opportunities that came, for her own persistence and courage and refusal to give up. Gratitude for this moment, this rest, this peace. Gratitude for having survived the difficult times and arrived here, in this stillness that was so long awaited and is now finally here. And then even that dissolves, and there is only the breathing, only the heartbeat, only the deep, dark, welcoming waters of sleep rising up to claim her, and she goes willingly, gratefully, completely into the restoration that her body and mind and spirit have needed for so long and can finally tonight receive. The house continues its quiet existence around its sleeping inhabitants. The refrigerator hums its steady note in the kitchen. The clock ticks its patient rhythm in the hallway. The moon continues its slow arc across the sky, painting silver light through windows, illuminating the peaceful faces of children lost in dreams, casting gentle shadows across the face of a woman who sleeps more deeply than she has in years, her features relaxed in complete repose, her breathing deep and even and untroubled. Outside, the night carries on with its own concerns. A cat walks along a fence somewhere nearby. A car passes on a distant street. The breeze continues its gentle movement through the trees, rustling leaves with that sound like whispered secrets, like lullabies sung in a language older than words. The stars wheel overhead in their ancient patterns, indifferent and eternal, bearing witness to this small moment of peace as they have borne witness to all moments, all lives, all victories and defeats, and simple quiet rests like this one. In her dreams, if she dreams, there are no nightmares, no anxiety scenarios playing out, no endless problem-solving sessions. There are only gentle images, perhaps memories of her children laughing, perhaps imagined futures full of possibility and hope, perhaps nothing at all but the sensation of floating in warm darkness, held and safe and loved. Her body does its necessary work of healing and restoration. Her mind processes and integrates the experiences of her day and her life, and all of this happens without her conscious participation, the ancient wisdom of the body taking over, doing what it has evolved over millions of years to do during sleep. Tomorrow will come as tomorrow always does. There will be alarm clocks and breakfast to make and children to prepare for school and a commute to navigate and work to be done. There will be challenges and decisions and moments that require strength and wisdom and patience. But all of that is tomorrow, and tomorrow has not arrived yet. Right now there is only this night, only this sleep, only this profound rest that reaches down into the very foundations of her being and rebuilds what has been worn down, restores what has been depleted, renews what has grown tired. She has earned this rest. Through years of effort and determination, Through countless mornings when getting up felt impossible, and she did it anyway. Through all the days of work and worry and pushing forward, even when the path was unclear, she has earned this moment of complete peace. And the universe, if it can be said to notice such things, seems to honor that earning, seems to wrap its arms around this small house and its sleeping occupants and whisper that yes, tonight, all is well, all is safe, all is exactly as it should be. Sleep deeply, rest completely. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Tonight is for restoration, for peace, for the profound healing that comes when we finally allow ourselves to truly rest. Our story has reached its gentle conclusion, dear listener. A mother sleeps deeply in her home, her children safe in their beds, all of them held by the peace that comes from hard work rewarded, from challenges met and overcome, from a life that has shifted from mere survival into something approaching true living. This is not a dramatic ending, not a grand finale, but rather the quiet settling of a soul into the rest it has deserved for so very long. If you are still awake and listening to these words, I hope this story has brought you some measure of the peace it describes. I hope it has reminded you, if you needed reminding, that difficult times do pass, that persistence pays off in ways both large and small, that rest is not a luxury but a necessity, and that sleep, deep and healing sleep, is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. For those of you who found value in this journey, a gentle tap of the like button helps these stories find their way to others who might need them. And if you would like to return to this collection of peaceful tales, the subscribe button will ensure there is always a story waiting for you when you need refuge from the noise of the world. But for many of you, perhaps most of you, these words are not reaching your conscious mind anymore. You have already drifted away into your own rest, following the mother in the story down into the deep waters of sleep. If that is so, I am glad. That means this story has done its work, has served its purpose, has offered the gentle transition from waking to sleeping that it was meant to provide. To all of you, awake or asleep, listening or dreaming, I offer my sincere hope that your rest tonight is deep and restorative, that your dreams are gentle or absent as you prefer, that you wake tomorrow feeling renewed and ready to meet whatever the day brings. Thank you for allowing me to accompany you on this journey into quiet, into peace, into the stillness that was so long awaited and is now finally here. Sleep well, dear listener. Sleep deeply. Sleep peacefully. You have earned your rest, just as the mother in our story earned hers, and tomorrow when it comes you will be ready for it. But tonight belongs to sleep, to restoration, to the profound healing that happens in darkness and in dreams. Good night.